Hey guys, welcome to my top 10 movies of 2024. First, I want to just get some honorable mentions out of the way. This is a wonderful chance to display some awesome movies that I got to see this year and share some recommendations with you guys. So for my honorable mentions, I have Blink Twice, Zoe Kravitz's first film. This is a wonderful horror comedy that if you didn't get a chance to check out, go ahead and check it out. It's not for the faint of heart, but I do recommend going in without knowing anything about it. Twisters was another one I really enjoyed this year. I think Glen Powell's great, and I think it kind of captures that Top Gun Maverick energy that so many people got so excited about a couple years ago. Conclave was another one of mine that I just really enjoyed out the gate. I don't think it necessarily sticks the landing, but it has this like murder mystery whodunit feel to it that I really miss and want more movies like that. Substance was another one for me that didn't necessarily stick the landing, but if you like body horror, probably the #1 body horror movie I've ever seen. Also, at the same time, Demi Moore gives the performance of her lifetime in that movie. And also Alien Romulus. That movie works a lot better than I think people think. And even though there isn't some lofty theme or anything, it's just a generally really well-crafted horror movie. And whatever that is gonna haunt my nightmares for like the next 10 years. Let's get into my top 10 movies of the year. Coming in at number 10 is Dune Part 2. I genuinely don't think there was a better film experience I had this year than sitting in a true IMAX theater and watching a giant fetus on the screen in Dune. Now, jokes aside, this movie really does do everything I wanted from the first movie, but better. There's amazing action sequences in here. The cinematography is great and top-notch. The story is wonderfully and beautifully told. Timothée Chalamet is phenomenal as Paul Atreides, and you finally get that moral complexity that I think Denis has been trying to push all along. It's a great example of being accurate and honest to what the intentions of the source material are versus adapting it one-to-one. To where, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Dune Part 1, I loved Dune Part 2. Coming in at number 9 is a movie I don't think I've reviewed or a lot of people have even seen. And that's James Samuel's The Book of Clarence. Maybe it's not as fun or action-packed as his previous film, The Harder They Fall, but The Book of Clarence is a really interesting and fascinating comedy. Not only are there laugh out loud moments here.
You now believe in Jesus?
Yes, basically.
But this biblical time period stoner comedy, it has a lot to say about reason and faith and how the two are intertwined, but also how people's perceptions about their faith impact their faith entirely. What people think Jesus looks like is not only played for laughs, but played for introspective thought.
Jesus of Nazareth.
I loved almost every minute of this crazy story of Clarence trying to pretend to be Jesus. Number 8. If you had told me at the start of the year that my number 8 film of the year 2024 was going to be a Netflix original, I think I would have laughed at you. But here I am putting Carry On at number 8. Gosh, I loved this movie. It's also just such a smart movie with an interesting premise that it actually delivers on. With one of my favorite leading men of recent years.
Excuse me, this isn't mine.
It seems like everyone has now seen this movie, but if you haven't, please do, especially during the holiday and festive time that we're in. Number 7 is going to be A Real Pain. This movie is mostly positive reviews, but I don't think people love it as much as I do. Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran McCulkin are really good in the movie and work incredibly well as a leading duo instead of just a leading man and supporting actor. You really feel the strain of their relationship and the years of pain going into it. But this movie isn't just a dramedy about family and friends.
Wait, you're not like taking weed into Poland, are you?
Oh yeah,
Benji?
they don't give a shit about that stuff, man.
I
I'm
think they
telling
very
you.
much do give a shit about
Oh
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But has a spin on it that really adds the pain of the past, the pain of ancestors, the pain of extended family, and asking you to meditate on those things and how they've shaped you, but also how they've shaped your relationships to other people.
Cry about everything.
Yeah, it was awful. Who wants to cry about everything?
It's an easy watch, yet somehow also dealing with incredibly difficult subject matter. If you get a chance, I would recommend seeing Real Pain. It was one of my favorites of the year. Number 6. This movie I wish more people went and saw because I was really surprised by it. That movie is My Old Ass. After a night of tripping out on shrooms, Elliot meets a older version of herself who seeks to give her some advice. Don't fall in love with that one Chad guy. When I watched the trailer, I kind of rolled my eyes and was like, great, another obnoxious, loudmouth stoner comedy that I'm gonna have to sit through, that people are gonna say you're just not having enough fun to enjoy it. Well, I did enjoy it, but it also isn't what it was advertised as. This movie is a coming-of-age story that kind of cracks that formula. With the added bonus of the older and younger self interacting with each other, it changes the way you look at it as a coming-of-age movie. It's not a movie that invokes the, oh, I remember that time in my life, but rather, oh, I remember remembering that time in my life. It's an interesting and distinct difference that makes it stand out from other coming-of-age movies like Dee Dee and stuff this year. Aubrey Plaza is surprisingly phenomenal in this movie, especially since she gave us a stinker of a performance like that this year, where she gets to flex her comedic muscles, but has a lot more chances to be the dramatic actor I think we all know she can be and wants to be. Really though, the performance that really surprised me was Percy Haynes White. This movie does not work if he's not as charming and as amazing as he is. So that when we're told not to love Chad, we can't help but side with Elliot and be like, but why? It's also an incredibly funny movie this year. I think I yearned for comedies this year, and My Old Ass gave me all of that. Number 5, I'll admit, is a much darker turn for My Old Ass.
I do not fear the dark side as you do.
Red Rooms is the movie that Fincher put out this year that Fincher did not put out this year. A French-Canadian film about the obsession that our generation has with true crime.
Welcome back to Murder Besties, the show where two true crime-loving former theater kids discuss the country's most gruesome unalivings.
Red Rooms follows a model who travels across country to see a serial killer trial. As she meets somebody else who has a similar obsession as her, we start to realize their obsessions are slightly different in nature. At some points, Red Rooms is this film about a budding friendship, but also the class difference and how that gets in the way of friendship. And at other times, this movie is an incredibly introspective and scary look into the internet culture of our generation. If you can get past the barrier of subtitles and are willing to stomach the subject matter, Red Rooms is more than just worth your time. It's one of the best movies of the year. My number 4 movie of the year, I'll kind of skip through because I do already have a review. It's Anora. This is a movie where everyone says it's phenomenal and you're like, yeah, okay. And then you go see it and you're like, guys, it's phenomenal.
Now that is a great movie.
There's not really much I can say here that hasn't already been said or that I haven't already said. Mikey Madsen is phenomenal. This is probably Sean Baker's best movie.
Fucking man and talk to me.
But also, it's kind of that comedy theme that I have going here. I really wanted to laugh this year, and comedies are a dying breed, and Anora brings slapstick screwball comedy back, and I don't think that was on my bingo card this year. Number 3 was Civil War. This movie, I'm going to take a little bit more time to talk about. Although I think this movie has some flaws, mainly in inconsistencies in Wagner Moura's character, Alex Garland is tapping into something so important for our day and age. This is not a left-wing skewed political thriller, and it's not a right-wing skewed political thriller. Civil War is about the problem when people stop talking and we start dividing.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
Civil War is about the dangers of political polarization. In this day and age, we go to our own corners of the internet and discord completely ceases. And Garland is tapping into that mindset that we have and just using sort of politics to explain the extreme dangers of that situation. I know a lot of people were turned off about this movie because they were like, politics, I don't really want to get yelled at for an hour. But Civil War doesn't feel like that. I know it's weird, but Civil War is actually one of the most apolitical movies about politics I think I've ever seen. It's an incredibly bold movie with scary imagery that he just shows you. And I still don't think I can get over the sound design. He made a really conscious choice that things like gunfire needed to shake the theater. So choosing not to mix the film well and just let those things peak and pound into your soul really works and gives you this visceral feeling of consequence that I don't think I've seen in another movie. Kirsten Dunst and Kaylee Spaney are amazing in the movie and work so well as this sort of dual dyads of journalism. Both of these characters go on counterintuitive arcs that simultaneously teach each other about themselves while also challenging one another. It's really sad that Garland has kind of decided that he's not going to direct films for a while, because this was one of the most exciting films of the year for me. I realized my whole list is just like messed up movie, fun comedy. Messed up movie, fun comedy. My bad, guys. I'm gonna keep that trend up because my number 2 movie of the year is Hundreds of Beavers. Guys, you just have to see this movie. A modern silent film, not like The Pianist or The Artist, whatever that movie was called. It's about a fur trapper who has to kill hundreds of beavers in order to get with the storekeeper's daughter. A deceptively simple premise that is delivered expertly. I know it's in black and white. I know it's a silent movie. But guys, if you feel like you can give this one a chance, it's only $3 on Amazon and it'll make you laugh for 2 hours. The over-exaggeration of the beaver costumes, to the absurd Looney Tunes humor of it all, and the video game-like progression, pacing, and story make this one probably an all-timer for me, as it felt like I was sitting and watching Chaplin dialed up to 11 and on cocaine. And finally, we get to it. My number 1 movie of the year is Challengers. Yeah, I don't think anyone who knows me is surprised by this. I grew up watching Fincher and Scorsese, so it's no surprise that one of my favorite genres of movie is just watching bad people do bad stuff. Everyone in this movie is twisted and messed up, but also so incredibly human and relatable in a scary way. Tashi's competitive spirit and need to win is, I think, relatable to everyone, if not too much of a good thing kind of thing. That this extreme competitiveness not only takes over her own life, but also the lives of the people she cares about is so incredibly fascinating. Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor, who come along for the ride here, are phenomenal as 2 best friends ripped apart in this really messed up love triangle. This movie is like watching a car crash in slow motion and you just kind of can't help but watch. let alone the fact that there's incredible tennis scenes in here that rival any sports movie. And that's not even talking about Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's incredible score. Seriously, this score had my heart pounding from start to finish. The sort of club EDM rock type music that's so hard to describe and you kind of just have to experience in the theater perfectly mimics the ping pong tennis nature of both their relationships and the game itself. But Challengers also gets at that thing that I love about great movies. You can watch Challengers as an HBO Succession-like drama that's also a sports thriller and just turn your brain off and just be into these characters. You can also turn your brain on and learn about things like obsession, things about greed and winning and love, to where this movie operates on both the lower echelon of entertaining movie and higher echelon of wonderful art that challenges your beliefs.
It was a pun.
And that's why Challengers is my #1 movie of the year. Thank you guys for coming along on this journey for the last 4 months or so of 2024. If there's a movie you think I missed out on, like The Brutalist or something, I either 1, didn't see it, or 2, saw it and it just missed the list. So go ahead and leave your top 10 down below as well. I'd love to hear what you guys love from this year.